Mind games until you lose control. You already know who it is. My name is Sick Kick. Welcome to Sick Mix Part 9. Let's get it.
May I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please? Will the real Slim Shady please stand up? I repeat, will the real Slim Shady please stand up? We're gonna have a problem here.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. What's up? What's going on, traders? Welcome back and happy Money Monday. If you guys are inside the chat right now, hit me with a big old Alpha Day Trading. Good morning. Who is inside the chat right now? Who is ready to rock and roll? And who is ready to start week number 2 of October strong and profitable? Because I am. Last week was an amazing week. We absolutely crushed it. The market providing us with so much opportunity, and we saw some big-time profits here inside of the community. So I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to work with you, excited to make some money, and excited to see you guys make some money as well. But before we dive into it, you guys know the drill. Hit me with a big old good morning and happy Money Monday. If you guys are over on YouTube, hit me with the good morning as well. Then drop your location. Where are you guys tuning in from? And then if you are over on Rumble, hit me with a big old good morning. Where are you tuning in from? Drop your location. And then here in a moment, we're going to dive into the pre-market rundown, ladies and gentlemen. The pre-market rundown is the show that I put together every single morning, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 9:30 to give you guys the full breakdown for the day, my overview, my outlook, my analysis on the SPY, the Qs, my top 3 penny stocks, my top 3 option plays for today. So you can come in strategically with a plan, right, to attack this market, put the odds in your favor of success, and possibly lock in some profits. So join these streams every single morning, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We always have some fun. We give you guys some great analysis, great game plans, really get you guys prepared for the day. Now, if you are new to the stream, definitely go check out the prior streams that we did last week on YouTube. Check those out, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Check out the analysis. Go back and look at the market those days and see how accurate and spot on these game plans are. So if you're kind of skeptical, and you're like, I don't know who this guy is. This is my first time being here. Is this legit? Is he on point? Again, just go back and look at all of the prior live streams that we do. They're automatically uploaded by YouTube. And they're there. They're unedited. They are raw. They are these live sessions that are just, they're there for your review. Check them out. Look at how detailed and how just dialed in we are with the game plans, the analysis. So again, show up, get prepared, get in the right mindset. We're going to hit it hard. Make sure that you guys are all set, ready to rock and roll for today's trading session. Put the odds in your favor of winning today. What's up, everybody inside of chat? Again, we got Stir in the house. Trader Adam, Mr. William. What's up, brother, man? Joey, Steve, Josie, Susan, Kevin. What's up, everybody? Let's do a quick little mic check real quick if we can. Always having some technical issues, I feel like. So if you guys are on YouTube, on Rumble, give me a thumbs up if everything looks good and if everything sounds good as well. And if you guys are inside of chat, do the same thing. Give me a big old thumbs up. Let's do a quick little mic check, audio check, video check. Just make sure that we are all set before we dive into today, guys. If you're on YouTube, what's up, Corey, Kevin, Tom? What's up, brother, man? BK, what's up, dude? Good morning, good morning. I mean, it looks good to me. I mean, I can't hear myself, but I mean, it looks okay. You just never know when you got like this computer, that computer, this computer, and you got like 20,000 streams going. It's just a wonderful thing. And my computer don't like me right now. My computer's like, no, we're gonna drop some frames today. Corey, awesome, man, appreciate you, dude. William, Joey, awesome, good stuff, guys, good stuff. So let's officially dive into today. First things first, today is a banking holiday. So that may pull some volume and volatility out of the market. It could. Markets are still open. Banks are closed. So if you guys are trading a cash account and you come in today and you're, where's my money? I can't trade today. Well, today's a banking holiday. There's going to be one additional day for your settlements if you're trading a cash account, just to go ahead and throw that out there. So today, banking holiday could pull some volume, volatility out of the market. Market could be slower today. We'll just have to play it by ear. But even knowing like, hey, the market could be slower, let's be really patient today. Let's wait for the best of the best setups. And let's make sure that we're getting positioned correctly at the end of the day, right? Just really be mindful of the market, the conditions that we could be in, and not be too aggressive, right? The last thing we want to do is come in today, be way too aggressive, and dig a big hole, right? And then have to just work ourselves out of that hole this week. And the last thing we want to do is come in this week and start really bad, right? Coming off of a really hot week last week. So the goal is just carry that momentum into this week, right? Everything we did last week that drove our success, let's just replicate that this week. And it comes down to getting prepared, getting positioned correctly, right? Being a good loser, keeping your losses nice and small, and sitting back, waiting for the market to come to you, right? And then just taking these high probability, great setups. And that's it. It's that simple. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to talk about what we got going on today with the markets, give you guys my game plan, my analysis, the breakdown with the SPY and the Qs, some penny stocks, and some option plays for today as well. If we have any questions before we dive into it, let's go ahead and answer some of those questions. Look at you, Steve. Early bird getting the worm up $659 to start the day. That's what I'm talking about, dude. I can dig it. I love it. I absolutely love it, man. It's awesome stuff. What? The TikTok you just posted, an older analysis or one for today? Can't check the charts right now. I have no clue what you're looking like. Yeah, so that was one just from the previous stream that we've done, just to go ahead and show you guys how valuable these sessions are. All right, so let's officially dive into it. We always start with the economic calendar. What PPI jolts? We got non-farm payroll data. It's going to send the market dumping and then ripping. Pretty much making back all those losses from pre-market. Like, what do we got going on today? That's really the game plan. That's the goal. Understand what's going on in the market. What are those times you guys need to be aware of, right? Well, today you're actually in the clear. You have nothing really going on today besides a couple Fed members speaking at 9 and 9:15 and then at 1:30. So you got Fed Logan speaking at 9. You got Fed Barr speaking here at 9:15. And then you got Fed Jefferson speaking here at 1:30 today. So the only really times that you guys got to be mindful of is just pre-market, leading up to market open. Maybe out of the gate, if those Fed members are still speaking, be mindful of that. That's something that, you know, the market could react to as maybe a comment or statement that they make if they're still speaking at that point in time. But pretty much we're in the clear today, right? There's not too many things we got to worry about as far as JOLTS data dropping at 10 o'clock to where we got to be flat on our positions. Today, we're pretty much in the clear, guys, all right? But let's really just dive right into the SPY, right? We had a pretty big day here on Friday, right? We just could not fall below those weekly lows from last week. I mean, we came down Tuesday, low, bounce, Wednesday, low, bounce, Thursday, low, bounce, Friday, low, trying to crack through all of this daily support. And, again, buyers are just like, it's not going to happen. Sellers are trying. Buyers are like, yep, no, not today. Buyers stepped in. Buyers took control on Friday. And it looked like sellers just gave up, completely gave up, because we had a pretty big day there on Friday. And we had a nice increase in daily volume as well. I mean, we dumped big time with non-farm payroll data there pre-market on Friday. And buyers stepped in and just bought all of that back up, plus a lot more. That was a massive 10, really close to that 200-day moving average. And we were holding all of this support for 4 days back to back to back. I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, coming down to the low 420s, coming down to the low 420s, coming down to the low 420s, right around that 200-day moving average. And sellers are trying to get this thing lower, but buyers are like, yep, stepping in, not today. And then definitely sellers gave up on Friday. Buyers took control, massive day to the upside. So let's talk about it. Like, can we see another day to the upside today? Right? Can we see the market move higher this week? Is this a bottom? Are we going to start reversing from here? Well, if you just take a look at the SPY, let's just clear everything out real quick. Actually, I don't want to clear everything out. I may not be able to get it back. Well, screw it. Remove drawings. Will they come back if I do that? Perfect. So, yeah, you would take a look at the daily and say, hey, we found a pretty nice short-term bottom here on the SPY, down in the low 420s support, right around the 200 SMA. And again, you saw 4 days last week, just bounce, 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 holding up, holding up, holding up. Really good, rock solid support down at last week's lows. So that's going to be pretty much our line in the sand when we take a look at the daily, right? If we ever fall below last week's lows and that 200 SMA, we can absolutely see the market move even lower, down into the low 410s. But right now, we can clearly see last week we established really, really good support down in the low 420s. Nice big green day there on Friday. Is it possible that this is a short-term bottom to where we can see the market start to grind on back up and possibly start filling some gaps? It's definitely possible because, again, we found some really, really good support just here last week. So that's really the key area that needs to be paying attention to, right? This week into next week. If we ever come back down into these lows and start to fall below them, get ready for the next leg down here in the market. But if we do not come down near these lows, and let's say we hold up somewhere around 425, and that's a higher low that we see form on the daily, this could absolutely be our nice, short-term bottom, nice push on Friday, nice little pullback today, maybe into tomorrow. As long as we're staying above, again, the 425s, that could be an area that we start to see the market push off of and start to see this next leg up, maybe into the 438s here on the SPY. Again, we do have a little bit of this weekly gap that we could definitely be getting filled this week, maybe even into next week, guys. All right, but let's go ahead and throw all of those levels back on. Doot, 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 doot. And we're all set. So, again, big day Friday, great weekly support last week. This could very well be a short-term bottom in the market that we could push off of and start to see some movement back to the upside. But again, I want you guys all to be super mindful of just all of that weekly support down between the low 420s. You're talking like 420.20 up towards around like 421.20. So 420.20 to 421.20. That's like your line in the sand. If we ever fall below these weekly lows and crack below that 200 SMA, we're going to start looking to play puts on down into some of these lows again, down to the low 400s. But we still got some time. That may not happen. We may hold on up really nice. And here's a couple of things that I noticed for today that suggests we may actually be able to see more days to the upside, at least over the short term. If that's a short-term bottom, we're actually seeing a few things that suggest, hey, we may see another few days or maybe even this week of more action to the upside. And again, we know we have this daily gap that could eventually get filled. And that daily gap is between 436.10 and 438.37, right? That is going to be that little gap that could get filled maybe even this week. But here's a couple things that I notice, right? Yes, we're gapping down, right? Yes, we're gapping down. Does that mean we're just going to dump from here, start cracking below last week lows and move lower? Not necessarily. We could absolutely move a lot lower. We can come all the way back down into the low 420s. But again, there's a few things that I notice, and if we hold above these levels, this would indicate a potential next leg on up. But before we dive into that, why is the market gapping down today? Does anybody know why the market's gapping down this morning? From, again, a 429.50 close on Friday, and now we're trading about 3.5 points lower. Why are we gapping down 3.5 points? What took place over the weekend that's sending futures to the downside? And someone actually mentioned it over on YouTube, right? The event in Israel will affect the market this morning. Absolutely. That's why the market is moving on down 100%. So if you take a look, it says Dow falls more than 100 points after the attack against Israel. So 100%, that's exactly why the market is dropping on off here this morning. And if this continues to escalate and get worse, then the market can continue to pull back, drop, fade, and fall. So that's definitely an event. That's a global event that we have to be mindful of. We have to definitely take that into consideration because that is going to move the market, and we see that firsthand. That's why the SPY is down about 3.5 points this morning. So 100%, that's definitely something that can and will obviously impact the market. And we need to be mindful about what's going on, what's happening. Is it escalating, de-escalating, just to get an idea of where could the market be headed next. All right, so that's why the market's gapping down. But here's one or two things that I notice, that if we hold these two zones today, from a technical perspective, that would actually indicate another leg on up, maybe back up into the 430s. And here's what I'm noticing. Number one, we have this daily zone of support between 425 and 425.43. I want you guys to go ahead and get that level marked up. That is a very strong key daily zone. Since we're above that daily zone, it's going to be an intraday level of support. Again, that daily zone, and it's a key zone, is between 425 and 425.43. What else do we have in line, right, with that daily zone? Well, we actually have a beautiful 50% retracement sitting right around 425.85. Now, how did I draw this Fibonacci retracement? Super simple. Go grab that Fibonacci retracement tool, go to Friday's low of day, drag it all the way up to Friday's high of day, and this is going to give you an idea that if we do see a retracement from, again, Friday's low of day to Friday's high of day, if we see a proper, healthy retracement into one of these fib levels, maybe just so happens to be a daily zone of support as well, that's an area where we could retrace to, find support, and maybe see buyers start to step back in and see that next leg to the upside. And so that's what I'm noticing today is, yes, we are gapping down due to those events in Israel, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean the market can't move higher, at least over the short term. The technicals suggest that if we hold above this lower zone of daily support, 425.03 to 425.43, that's right in line with two key fib levels, right? Where we could see the market pull back, hold on up, and if we do see buyers step back in, we could start to see the next leg to the upside, okay? And so right now, what do we see here in pre-market with the SPY? We actually gapped down today, and where's been pre-market support? Pre-market support has been right at that 50% retracement. So if we hold that 50% retracement, it's very possible that we start to see the SPY push back up into this next overhead zone of resistance between 428.58 and 428.87. But if we do happen to come a little bit lower, right, and we do start dropping below that 50% retracement, remember, we do have this daily zone of support between that 425.03 and 425.43 here on the SPY. So those are going to be two key levels to really be paying attention to. Again, number one, your 50% retracement. Number two, that daily zone of key support. So if the market opens and we do pull back into that 50% fib or even that daily zone and we see the market hold on up above those two levels, okay, and we see confirmation to get long, whatever the reason is, double bottom, great price action, higher low push, filling a fair value gap, again, we have to see an intraday reason to get in. But if we see an intraday reason to get in at one of those two key zones of support, you know, we can definitely be looking to play calls above those two key zones of support and look to play the, you know, the SPY back up towards this next area of resistance. And again, that's between 428.58 and 428.87. But here's the deal. What if the market opens? What if we come down and crack below that 50% fib? What if we come down and crack that zone of support and we see it turning into resistance? Well, at that point in time, I definitely don't want to be playing calls. I want to be playing some puts down into our next daily zone of support, right? Which would be all the way back down towards around this 420.30. 422.30. It's Monday and I have dyslexia. 422.30 and 422.57 would be the next lower zone of support. So if we ever crack below that 50% fib, we ever fall below that daily zone of support, and we stay below that daily zone of support, yeah, we could be seeing the SPY fade and fall all the way down into the low 422s. And that's simply when I'll be looking to play put contracts. If we fall below and stay below those two levels of resistance. But again, you always want to have a long plan in place just in case, a short plan in place just in case. Don't come in super bullish. We're only looking for long opportunities. Don't come in so biased to the short side. You're only looking for short opportunities. If you would have come in bias on Friday to the short side, the market's going to dump today. The market's going to get on the 415. I'm 90% convicted and confident and biased that the market's going to drop. You would have gotten chopped out of your short positions on Friday, and you would have missed really nice long opportunity on Friday. We don't care where the market goes. We don't care if the market wants to drop 5 points or rip 10 points. We just want to be on the right side of the trade. And so sit back, wait for the best of the best opportunity, and make sure you are on the right side of the trade. Again, it's really simple. Identify your key areas, wait for the market to come to you, wait for there to be an opportunity, build your plan, and simply attack the market. So, again, we're falling below the 50% fib and that daily zone, and we're trading below those two levels. We simply look to play puts for the next leg down into the low 422s. But if we do indeed hold one of these two areas of support, the 50% retracement or that daily zone, and we see good price action and there's a solid reason to get in, then from there, I'll simply be looking to play some calls back on up into this daily zone of resistance between 428.58 and 428.87 on the SPY, okay? So out of the gate, do we have any line in the sand? You guys are always waiting for the line in the sand, that make or break level here on the SPY. I would say the line in the sand is going to be that 50% retracement and that daily zone of support. That's your make or break, right? We hold above it, we play calls. Simple stuff, right? We crack below it, stay below it, right? We play puts. That's going to be your line in the sand if we get there, if we see an opportunity to get in, right? But the market may not come down to those two levels, right? We already had a 50% retracement. We're already finding some decent support. It's very possible the SPY opens and just pushes straight on up. And there may not be a trade down here to get long off of. So if that's the case, the market's going to move on up. I will not be in it, and I'll have to wait for the market to come to me in one of my next daily zones of support or resistance. And that next zone would be the zone that we've been discussing, 428.57 to 428.87. And I would simply have to wait if that's what we saw, for the market to push on up into that zone and then wait to see if there's an opportunity. If we come on up into that zone, we fail to break above it, and we see that it is definitely going to be some strong, solid resistance, that would be an area that I would consider playing puts off of for the next leg down, okay? So at the end of the day, all you can really do is come in, get prepared, and go from there. Wait for the market to open, wait for the market to come to you, and then wait for there to be an opportunity to get in. And then just simply react to the market at that point in time. All right, guys? But that's a couple of things that I noticed that indicate we could see a potential move on up again today. We've already seen a nice 50% retracement, really close to this daily zone of support. And again, if those two areas hold, we can definitely see buyers step back in. They were in control Friday. They may step back in today, and we may see another leg to the upside. But we all know when the right time is to get short. That's if we crack below that line in the sand, that's when we start looking to play some puts down to the low 422s here on the SPY. All right, so before we move on to the Qs, do we have any questions whatsoever regarding the analysis, the overview, the breakdown, and the game plan here on the SPY today? If you have any questions, let me know. Let's dive into those. And then we will dive into QQQ. Good morning, Kevin. What's up, boss? Susan, Josie, Steve, everybody inside that chat. Again, if I forgot to say good morning to you, good freaking morning. Cole, what's up? So again, any questions whatsoever, let me know. And if you guys are on TikTok right now and you want the full interactive stream with the breakdowns, the analysis, and the visual representations, not just my face, links are in the bio. Go to YouTube, and then again, join our live stream over on YouTube. We only have 14 viewers right now. We got to get that up. Again, this is where you want to be, over on YouTube every single morning, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 to 9:30 over on our YouTube channel, and that's Alpha Day Trading. So come on over, get settled in, let's have some fun, and let's get you guys prepared for the day. Any questions whatsoever about the SPY before we move on to the Qs? Big Daddy Rose, what's up, Sunshine? Sunshine, can't even talk today, man. I'm still half asleep. Sunshine, Sunshine, Sunshine. What's up, dude? All right. No questions. Let's dive into the Qs. So the Qs, we actually do have a line in the sand, which is awesome. I love it. And it's actually that daily gap level from Friday. So, hey, we've been targeting this daily gap on the Qs for like weeks. Well, we finally came up, and we actually closed this gap to the penny here on Friday, right? So if you mark up your gap level, the lower part of this gap level is 362.96, and the top end of this gap level is 364.51. Go ahead and mark up that gap level, and then just go back and look at Friday and see how well respected that gap level was. We broke above it, we held it as support, and we closed the gap to the penny. And then we see it turning into a little bit of support since we actually broke through the top end of that gap zone. But here's the deal. What are we seeing this morning? Well, the Qs are gapping down. Everything is gapping down this morning for the most part. We're back below that daily gap level. And again, the lower part of that gap zone, that 362.96, is a key level. Not only because it's a lot of resistance here, but it's also right at the 20 EMA. And so if we do see the Qs push on up into that 362.96 level and we fail to break above it, it's very possible that we start to see the drop on off. Meanwhile, the SPY could be falling below that 50% retracement and that 425 zone and seeing the next leg down as well. But if we are unable to break back above 362.96 on the Qs, and we get rejected at the lower end of that gap level, we could see the market start to roll on over and start to see the next leg down. Okay, but if we see the Qs, right, get back above that 362.96 level and hold up, we see the Qs push back up into the top end of that gap level and then potentially back up towards around Friday's high a day. So if we see the Qs get above and stay above 362.96, it's very, very possible that we see the Qs push back up to that 364.51 and then all the way back up into Friday's high a day, guys, here on QQQ. And where would Friday's high day resistance be? It would be this zone right here between 365.83 and 365.94. That would be where the Qs could definitely get back up to today. But like I said, if we are unable to get back above and stay above and trade above that 362.96, that's going to be a key area of resistance. That's where I would be looking to place some puts for the next leg down if we cannot get above and get back into that daily gap. But if we do get above and stay above that level and we're back inside that daily gap, I would simply look to play some calls back up to that gap level, 364.51, and then Friday's high a day. All right. But if we do grab puts today, where could we see the Qs go? How low could we go? Well, I'm just going to look left at some of these intraday levels here and just go back into Thursday and into Friday and just mark up all of that resistance that we had, right? We came up into this zone one time on Thursday, 2, 3 times, right? Pre-market on Friday, and we see it was a nice little break and retest there on Friday before seeing that next leg on up. So that's going to be the next lower area of really good support here on QQQ. That lower zone of support is between 350 here on the Qs, guys, right? So that's going to be the next key area of lower support here on the Qs. Now, if we come on down and fall below that zone, how much lower could the Qs go? The next key area of support that I'm seeing here on the Qs is down between 357.13 and 357.69. All right. So, recap. Let's sum it up. What is the make or break? The line in the sand here with the Qs. I'm saying it's going to be the lower end of that gap zone. 362.96. That's the make or break, in my opinion, here on the Qs. We can't break through it. I'm looking to play puts down into this lower zone of support. Okay, I'd be looking to play some puts if we fail to get above this 362.96. I'll play puts down into the low 360s today, right? But if we do break that line in the sand level, hold above it like we saw it do here on Friday, that would give me some confirmation, as long as I see that lower level holding a support, to play calls back up to 364.51, and then Friday's high a day. That's when I would be looking to play some calls to the upside. So it really just comes down to this 362.96 here on the Qs. Are we going to break above it, stay above it? Only time will tell. We're going to come up to it, top out, and drop? We have no idea. But when we see the market come up to us, waiting for the market to come to us, to our key level, we'll just have to sit back and wait for there to be an opportunity, right? If we see a nice break and hold, we play calls. If we see it getting rejected and topping out, we simply play puts at that point in time, all right? So I'll be watching a mixture of the SPY and the Qs today, right? The SPY, beautiful 50% retracement, holding above this key zone of support. Very possible that we see the SPY push on up. Very possible that we see the Qs get back inside of this daily gap zone, refill it, and then push all the way back up to close the gap into Friday's close. Very possible we see the market move higher today. But at the same time, it's very possible that we see the market open and start to drop, fade, and fall and move even lower. We just got to sit back, wait for the market to come to us, and wait for there to be a killer opportunity. We've done everything we can do, right? We understand why the market's gapping down. We know there's not a lot of times to be mindful of today, right? You got a few Fed members speaking between 9 and 9:15. You don't have any big data events happening market open today, right? At 10, 11, 2, 2:30. So we're in the clear. We know when the market's moving down, gapping down. And then we've gotten prepared. We've done our due diligence. We've gotten as prepared as possible with the highest probability key areas that we can see the market go to before reversing or breaking and holding and breaking higher. Now, just a game of patience. You got to wait for the market to come to you, set up, provide you with an opportunity, and then simply go from there. But these are going to be the highest probability key areas that we can see the market move to before there being an opportunity, before there being a reason to take a trade, guys. All right? So that's the analysis, the overview, the game plan with the SPY, and then that's my game plan here with the Qs as well. Now, do we have any questions regarding the analysis and the game plan and the breakdown with the Qs before we move on to a few penny stocks and maybe a few option plays for today as well? Again, questions, let me know. Want to make sure that you guys are all set with both the SPY and the Qs before moving on to our top 3 pennies, and not even top 3, maybe like 1 or 2, and then maybe 1 or 2 option plays for today as well. And if it is kind of like skipping a little bit on YouTube, I understand that today's stream is a little funky. I'm dropping frames like crazy on the stream. It's probably because I'm streaming through the Wi-Fi and I'm not hooked up via Ethernet. Maybe it's because I'm trying to push 2 streams. So we'll probably just start running this primarily on YouTube if I'm going to have technical issues trying to get it over to Rumble as well, because it looks like Rumble is just giving us all the issues. So we'll see. Skipping on TikTok too. Should be skipping on TikTok. That's different. That's probably a user connection, sir. But I definitely know it's dropping here on YouTube for sure. But again, apologize for the technical issues if there are any today. We'll make sure that we get the stream really dialed in for the rest of the week, guys. So, questions about the SPY. Questions about the Qs before we dive into some small cap plays for today. And before we dive into some option plays for today as well. Go ahead and drop those questions. Let's make sure we're all set before we move on. You got Chris T and Steve looking at PRZO. We'll definitely take a look at PRZO, guys. So it is like, okay, cool. Yeah, well, last week I wasn't streaming to Rumble as well, and now I'm trying to push a stream like to 2 places at the same time, so that's going to be the issue. So I don't even think we have a lot of people on Rumble anyway. So we may just go ahead and start pushing it just primarily to YouTube until I can find a way to get it to both. But if not, no big deal. But your connection looks sexy, man. Your connection looks great. Your speeds are better than mine. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm going to go ahead and I can't drop one without dropping both. So we'll just deal with it today. We'll get through the rundown. It's still here. There's still a lot of value. You may just have to rewind yourself, say 5 minutes, right, and watch in the past. But still, there's a lot of education, tons of value here. So I don't want to end it. I still want to keep it going because it will still come through. You just may have to rewind it like a minute just for everything to be looking good. All right, guys. So we are good. All right, let's go take a look at PRZO. So PRZO moving on up nicely here this morning. Why is PRZO moving? Well, Friday they had a Form 6K filing here on Friday. You saw some great pre-market activity here Friday. You saw a nice push out of the gates, and then we didn't really do anything at all Friday. You had an end-of-the-day push, and then you moved through in post-market, but for the most part, Friday, you didn't really do a lot, okay? The Form 6K filing was actually announced Friday morning in pre-market. That's why we saw the stock really moving on up pretty nice, right? Nice movement out of the gate from around $1 all the way up to like 140, 141. That was about 15 minutes in before it just gave everything back and really set sideways. So this was not a hot stock to be looking at Friday. But again, we're moving on up in pre-market. Let's see if this stock can actually move today and not really chop around like it did here on Friday. But that's something to be mindful of, right? The Form 6K filing was announced here Friday morning, or pre-market. Stock moved up. 15 minutes out of the gate, decent movement, and then it just chopped around. If we start to notice some decent movement out of the gate, and then it starts to dump on off and chop around, you may just go ahead and set it off to the side and look at something else that has better opportunity. But for now, we're moving on up from zone to zone really nicely, right? We got above this lower zone and stayed above this lower zone between 142 and 145. Held it as nice support and pushed on up. Where to? This next overhead zone of resistance. We broke right through it, pulled back into it, and now we're starting to move higher as well. So key support here on PRZO is going to be this lower zone between $2 and $2.06. That's going to be some great support here on PRZO, okay? But how much higher could this bad boy go? Let's go ahead and take a look at the daily and get an idea of where the stock could be going next. So the next area that I'm seeing is this zone between 233 and 239 here on PRZO. That's going to be the next overhead zone of resistance. Then maybe to come fill this daily gap. So if we do get above this zone, that 233 to 239, we get above it, stay above it, we could absolutely see PRZO get up towards around 274. And then if we ever break 274, we may see it come on up and close this daily gap up towards around $3, right? So we have our key zones here on PRZO coming right from the daily back into our 5-minute time frame. we know that we're going to have overhead resistance between 233 and 239. We know we have lower support right now between 2 and 206. And we know we have overhead resistance up between 274 and 301. And that is a daily gap as well. So a couple different ways we can see this thing set on up, right? If we open, pull back into support, that would be an area to look to get long. Where to? This next overhead zone of resistance. That would be your first profit target on PRZO. Okay, if we ever break and hold that zone, we have potential to 274. That's your second profit target. And then finally, all the way up towards around $3 would be your third and final price target here on PRZO, right? That's if we open on up, pull back into support, and there's a reason to get long at support, down around the low 2s. We can get long at support, put stops right below support, and we know our first target is in the low 230s. And then 274. And then finally, maybe to fill that daily gap up towards around 301 here on PRZO. That's if we open and pull back into support, set up, and get confirmation to get long. But what if we just open on up and go break right through that zone of resistance? Well, that's fantastic, right? Gauge how strong the break is. Is it a strong break? Is it a weak break? Right? And then let it break. Let it prove itself that it can break resistance and possibly move higher. So if we open on up, break through resistance, what do we need to see take place, right? See a nice healthy pullback into this prior zone of resistance and see if we can hold on up as support. That's it. Nice little break, nice little retest. Okay, if we do see this break in this retest and we see a solid retest, a healthy retest, a good reason to get long, we can get long at this zone of what would be support at that point in time, which is between 233 and 239, right? Where could we see it go? Same overhead price targets, okay? 274 would be your first price target, and then your second and final price target would be up towards around $3 to close that daily gap, right? So it really just comes down to like, what are we going to do between these two zones? We got overhead resistance, lower support. What's going to happen? We're going to pull back into support and be able to get long? We got to wait and see. Or are we going to open on up and break resistance and hold? Hey, we just got to wait and see. Are we going to open, hit resistance, and just dump today? And maybe be a good short? Who knows? We will wait and see. But you already know your two key areas of support resistance. Key support right now between 2 and 206. Key resistance between 233 and 239. Just got to wait for something to take place. Right? We don't know if the stock's going to come down and hold support. If so, we get long. We don't know if the stock's going to open, come up and top resistance and tap it, right, and be a good reason to get short. But if we see a good short, that would be an area that, hey, we can get short off of. We just got to sit back and wait for the market to open and then wait for the market to come to us, all right? Now, what if we crack below that 2 to 206 level? What if we fall below it? How much lower could we go? Well, technically, we could see this thing come all the way back down into Friday's high a day, which turned into really good support post-market. And then it turned into really good support here in pre-market as well. Now, you will have some pit stops along the way down, right? You may be able to hold these pre-market highs. You may be able to hold these pre-market highs or post-market highs, right? You'll have some pit stops along the way down if we do give a lot back today, right? But overall, we could see it all the way back down into Friday's high a day, which is going to put you right around this 142 to 145 level. So yeah, if PRZO is shortable and we ever see a crack and hold below this key zone of what we're looking at as far as support, if we ever see support crack and we see price stay below that level as a resistance, I wouldn't be opposed to getting short all the way back down into Friday's high a day in the low to mid 140s. And that's definitely possible if PRZO is shortable. And let's go ahead and see, is PRZO shortable right now? It's not easy to borrow, but I may be able to locate shares. So again, really depends on how the thing sets up, right? If it's shortable and there's a good short opportunity, we'll take it. There's a lot of potential to see the stock fade and fall and give a lot of these pre-market gains back. But at the same time, if we hold this lower zone of support, we can see there's a lot of great potential to the long side up into the 270s, maybe all the way up to $3 there on PRZO. So right now, PRZO is absolutely going to be one of our top penny stocks for today. And honestly, it may be the only penny stock for today, guys, right? It looks good. It's moving up. It's a top gainer. It's actually leading the board up 85% right now at this point in time. Take a look at some of these other plays, right? You got MTEK may move today. It's kind of chopping around a little bit. Doesn't look fantastic. I actually took a trade this morning on MTEK. It was actually for the break of this downtrend right here off this key zone of support. So I saw, MTEK coming down and really grinding this lower zone of support. Start to see a lot of volume move in right through that zone of support up into this downtrend. And I'm looking for a break of this downtrend after it came back down for like the 5th time and bounced off this zone of support. I got long, but it failed. It was not able to break the downtrend. It actually stopped me out right here. I lost about $97.82. So I did take that trade, came down, tried to break again, wasn't having it. I cut the trade down 97 bucks. So this would have been the best of the best opportunity to get long on MTEK. That's why I got long on MTEK. But since it tried to get that break of the downtrend on high volume off this key zone of support, it's just kind of failing. It doesn't look great. It looks weak. And so it may not be able to hold this zone of support. We may actually be getting ready to crack this for the next leg down, right? Where could we see MTEK go? All the way back down to $1. So if we do not hold this daily zone of support, if we do not break this downtrend, there is no reason whatsoever to get long. That's just not going to take place. If anything, we'll probably see MTEK fade and fall all the way back down to $1. All right, guys, so be very, very careful with MTEK. Last thing I want you guys doing is getting in here and then watching the thing dump all the way back down to $1 and you just watch it fade and fall, right? There's no support nearby. If we crack this zone between 120 and 125 and stay below it, it's definitely coming back down to $1. And I say that with confidence because there's no nearby support. $1 is the next strongest support level here on MTEK. But if for any reason, right, anything could happen. The market's the market. If for any reason, right here, right now, guys, we hold a slightly higher low, okay, for any reason, right now, right here, this is a potential higher low, and we start to push off the lower end of the support zone, and we start to break this downtrend, I'm absolutely getting long again, 110%, right? We see it cracking that zone, snapping back above the zone, and maybe putting in a higher low at the bottom end of that zone. We can all see that the bottom end of the zone is at 120. Okay, if we hold a slightly higher low off this lower end of the zone at 120 and start to see a push off this higher low, and we ever see a break of this downtrend, that's where buyers will definitely start to move on back in. You're sitting at support, higher low, and a break of the downtrend going from the bearish side to the bullish side. That's definitely an area where buyers could really start to move on back in here to MTEK. So I still want to keep it on watch. There's potential to see the stock move today. But like I said, keep your stops nice and tight, because if we do not see that higher low push, if we do not see a break of this downtrend, and we start to fall below these lows right here, the odds are you're coming back down to $1. So what would a trade plan look like? If you guys want to take this trade, what would a trade plan look like? Higher low push, break of the downtrend. Entries probably around 125. Stops under this low right here. That's 8 cents of risk. Where's your first target? Pre-market highs. Okay, that gives you about 8 cents of risk and about 20 cents of reward. Okay, that's if you wait for a break of this downtrend off of a higher low. Okay, if you're going to anticipate, right, this higher low push, break of the downtrend, and you get in now for any reason, right? If you want to anticipate the trade, that gives you a solid 4-to-1. But if you're going to play this conservatively, wait for the break, wait for the higher low, not get in prematurely, not taking the necessary loss, then that's what your trade plan would look like. All you want to see is a potential higher low form, break this downtrend, and that's where you should see volume move on in. That's where we could see buyers step up to the plate and push this thing back up into these pre-market highs. Stops underneath that swing low. solid little risk reward, decent little trade plan here on MTEK, right? And if we ever do break those pre-market highs, how much higher could you see MTEK go? Well, I see potential all the way up towards around 160 to 165 here on MTEK. So it's worth watching. Anything could happen. If we start to see that higher low move on in, break of the downtrend, I would jump in. 8 cents of risk, potentially 20 to 40 cents of reward to the upside here on MTEK. Right now, it is a back burner because it doesn't look great. But if we ever see it setting up and starting to move again, hey, we'll definitely keep it on watch. We'll definitely take a look at it and see if we have any opportunity at that point in time. All right. I was going to discuss AULT, but for the simple fact that AULT came back below this daily zone of support and hit it as resistance, I'm not interested in AULT. And I'm actually going to go ahead and take that off the watch list. So you only have 2 penny stocks today. You got PRZO. Obviously, this is number 1. And then right now you have a back burner. That's going to be MTEK. Has potential, right? There's a reason for the stock to be moving. Friday, they dropped a press release that they launched ultra-compact AI-powered video analytic product. So there was a decent little press release here in today, Friday. Stock moved on up post-market and in pre-market. And we've seen some volume, right? We see some action, okay? MTEK is up 20%, trading 5 million shares, and the stock normally trades like 20,000. So we do have a lot of volume. It's a low float stock. There is a press release. We could absolutely see a slightly higher low and get a break of that downtrend. And if that's what we see take place, MTEK could be a nice mover today. So let's keep that one on watch, guys. Okay. So with that being said, do we have any questions regarding our number 1 penny stock for today, PRZO? And do we have any questions pertaining to MTEK? Before we move on to Tesla and maybe BJ. Yes, BJ. And probably not even BJ, to be honest with you. Probably just Tesla for the swing trade. All right, if it sets up like it set up last Thursday and Friday, I think some of you guys took that Tesla trade to the short side, and you absolutely ate 10 points in 25 hours to the downside. Beautiful trade. Beautiful trade. But yeah, if it sets back up this week, I'm still interested in getting short. We'll touch up on the technicals. What was the reason last week for the entry? Why are we still looking at Tesla for an entry to the short side? Make sure you guys are all set, ready to rock and roll. And one thing for tomorrow, guys, is we'll make sure that the stream is crisp and clear. So I'm trying to push it out to like 2 locations at the same time. I'll test it tonight, make sure that we're stable for tomorrow and that there's no issues. But again, you guys can actually rewind this live stream here on YouTube and rewatch it, get the analysis, get the breakdown, all that good stuff. So I do appreciate you guys tuning in. Do apologize for the technical issues this morning. But hopefully it wasn't too bad. Hopefully you guys were able to get some analysis and get prepared for the day, guys. Tomorrow, much better. We'll make sure that we got it all taken care of for tomorrow, guys. All right. So have a good day, YouTubers. Take care. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the pre-market rundown. And yeah, super stoked to have a good day today. Todd over on YouTube said that you joined the trial. Fantastic. Cannot wait to work with you. You can't get into the website chat room. That means that you did not complete your onboarding steps. So when you sign up for the trial, you're taken to a welcome thank you page with next steps that really give you the breakdown as far as what do you need to do next to gain access to the community, to the chat room. So as long as you completed the next steps, you're all set, ready to rock and roll. If you're not able to get in, that is probably because you didn't set credentials, you didn't set a password, so you're not able to log in the first place. So again, go back and look at those next steps. Make sure that you clicked the email that says set your credentials, that you set a password, and then once you're logged in, and you do have access to the chat rooms, the training vaults, and the trading tools during your 8-day trial. But if you're still having any issues, definitely reach out to support@alphadaytrading.com, and they will absolutely get you taken care of.